Will cornerback be a strength of the Seattle Seahawks in the 2025 season? All right, people, welcome back. Happy Saturday. We have made it to the weekend here, and we've only got a few more of these videos left to do. I know that training camp is not really going to get underway for about another week and a half, so there may be a little bit of a window where there's not a lot to get into, but we're going to go ahead and push this series until it doesn't push anymore, and that's as far as I can push it. So understand that between, I'd say, the 15th and the 22nd, I don't know what's going to be going on. I'll talk about some stuff, but it could be pretty quiet for a little bit there. And then we get to the 22nd, things should pick up really quickly because training camp always gives us good stuff. Okay, so cornerback should be a position of strength for the Seahawks in 2025. We've got the 5th overall pick of a couple years ago, Devin Witherspoon. We've got contract year Reek Woolen. We've got, I know this guy isn't really a cornerback, but everything we're hearing indicates that he's going to be mostly a cornerback for 2025, so I put him here. Nick Emenwari, a second-round pick with a lot of excitement and hype around him. Got Josh Jobe, who I think played pretty good last year. And you've got Shaq Griffin, a veteran who had a nice little bounce-back season for the Vikings last year and now returns home to the team that drafted him. And then you've got Nehemiah Pritchett, too, who I like. The way it's looking, though, he may not really have an opportunity to play this year because he's got a lot of people in front of him. I don't even know if that's going to factor in at all, and I don't know if he's going to pan out anyway, quite frankly. He played very poorly last year. He could improve significantly this offseason and still not really be NFL caliber. In any case, this should be a very good position for the Seahawks. They have a lot of talent here. They should benefit from the talent at the other positions. And when you take a look at the corners we had last year, which was mostly pretty good, it should be better. If it's not better, that would be deeply disappointing. That would tell me that Woolen, despite being a contract year, probably not taking things all that seriously. That would tell me that Emenwari isn't able to make a positive impact as a rookie. That would tell me that Jobe probably regressed, it's Jobe. And Shaq Griffin regressed back to what he was near the end of his Jaguars career and leaking into like his Texans career. So should be a good position here. I'm going to go ahead and make predictions for these players. Again, I want to stress these numbers I'm going to be putting up here, these stats, they don't tell the whole picture with these corners. But they can get us most of the way there. They can paint a little bit of a picture. Please like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to support the channel. Let's get started with Devin Witherspoon, the man, the star, the stud. This is a big year for Mr. Witherspoon. I think this should be the year that he becomes a superstar. I don't believe he's become a superstar yet. I think that you could even argue he regressed a little bit in his second year. I still think he was a very good player, but now is the time for him to become a star. I went with 83 tackles, which is honestly a little bit below his standard, but there are a couple things at play here. For one, I wouldn't be surprised if he missed a game or two. The way he plays very physically, he's probably going to get dinged up at some point. And beyond that, if our front is doing the things they need to do, Witherspoon's not going to have to make as many tackles because the ball carrier doesn't get up to him as much. This is an assumption that because we're better at linebacker this year than we were last year, because we should be better at edge, and you've also got theoretically a better defensive line because Murphy's supposedly going to make a big improvement this year, there's less for Witherspoon to pick up. So 83 tackles. I think that he will become more of a cover player this year in terms of his impact over tackling, although it'll still be big. 14 passes defensed. His defense should be very good. I'm a little bit concerned about the nose tackle situation, maybe limiting Witherspoon's opportunities to make pass breakups. I still imagine he's going to do good damage there. 14. I think this is going to be the year it really comes together for him as a little bit of a ball hawk. I didn't go too far with it. 3 interceptions. Can't imagine Witherspoon ever being one of those guys that gets like 8 to 9 interceptions a year. Doesn't really seem to be what he does. Doesn't seem to be what he brings to the table. But 3 seems entirely reasonable to me. And then we get into some of the coverage metrics. I went with 81 targets, which it seems a little bit high, but if the Seahawks are playing from ahead a decent amount, you're going to have to throw it against him eventually. You can't go a whole game and only target Ernest Jones and Tyrese Knight and Shaquille Griffin. At some point, you have to go after Spoon. I imagine that there's going to be some degree of success there. 53 completions, a number that I'm happy to live with as long as the defense as a whole is good, and 476 yards. It's a season that should be fine. I don't think that anybody would look at that and go, that's going to be a big problem. That's not even 30 yards a game, I think, if you do the math. I believe it's right around 28. I'm sure there's going to be a couple big plays in there, but he's also probably going to have some games where he doesn't give up anything. That's just how the position works. Touchdowns allowed, I went with 4. Does seem like he gets dinged in the red zone a little bit. He is a little bit of a smaller guy, so I guess that makes sense. But it's going to be a good season, and I think that maybe he won't be considered a star by everybody because he won't have the gaudy interception numbers, but he will be a star. We'll know how good he is, and that's what matters. Reek Woolen, and this one, I struggle with this one a lot. Even at his worst, even at Reek's lowest, I feel like he's, on the whole, a good cover player. So I'm going to say that he continues to be a good cover player, but I'm also going to say that he continues to kind of lag behind in some of these other areas, like tackling. Now, there's nothing wrong with not getting a lot of tackles as a corner, as long as it's mostly because your defense in front of you is doing their job. But I just don't know if I see Reek Woolen ever becoming like a plus tackler, plus run defender. Now, part of having a low tackle count as a corner is good because it often implies that you're not giving up a lot of completions. But there's more going on with Reek Woolen and his low tackle count, and we know it. I think it stays low. I think he'll be tolerable in that regard this year. He's got to care about that money, right? I cannot imagine him going out there and not giving effort in run defense because of, I'm sorry, not because of, but due to the fact that at the very least he should care about the money. But I think he maintains his very high level of cover play. Even, again, like I said, even at his worst, he makes plays on the ball. I got 18 passes defensed, and I'll go with 5 interceptions. I imagine there's going to be a little bit of attempted stat padding on his part because he wants to get paid, and interceptions are going to help him get paid. But even if it wasn't for that, I think he can do this stuff pretty well, even if he's not completely bought in. 69 targets. Again, it's in line with what he's done for most of his career. You have to target him sometimes if you're the opposing team, but it's not going to be a ton. 32 completions, again, in line with what he's done previously, which would obviously be very good. We're talking about less than 2 completions a game here. Again, now these other teams are not going to want to mess with him too much. 4 targets, less than 2 completions a game approximately. I think that makes sense. 391 yards. Again, it's bold to say that your starting outside corner is going to do this. This is like 25 yards a game. It's pretty consistent with what he's done throughout his career. This is something that he can do at a very high level. 3 touchdowns. They'll happen. They have to happen at some point, especially if we're going to be a good team. Other teams are going to have to throw the ball a decent amount, and stuff will happen. So those are your 2 main guys. Next, I went with Emin Wari, and I listed him here because, like I said, the team is strongly indicating he's going to be doing some slot corner work. I'm not convinced he's going to do all of it, especially early. Remember, Eminwari is young. He's 21 years old, and slot stuff isn't new for him. It's not something that he did exclusively in college, so I think we kind of ease him in. So I'm going to be a little bit modest here. I will admit 46 tackles is low if he actually starts the whole season at nickel, because we're going to be in nickel a lot. And the way Eminwari plays, he will probably get way more than 46 tackles if he's actually the full-time starting nickel, but I have a feeling that Witherspoon's going to be manning that role some in 2025. Passes defensed, I'm going to be a little bit bolder here, though. 9. I'm going to say 9. Again, I'm banking on this team forcing opponents to throw the ball a lot because the schedule's pretty weak. The defense should be really good, and I think Kubiak makes the offense viable. So you're playing from ahead, you can sit on the pass, and you can get your hands on more passes. He is a little bit of a ball hawk, so I went with 2 interceptions. Obviously, you don't expect amazing ball hawk skills from a guy who was in college last year, but I think he'll get a couple. Imagine he gets targeted a decent amount, 49. If you have a choice of targeting Witherspoon, Woolen, or Eminwari, it's a pretty easy choice, I think. But I don't think he'll be on the field as much as those two guys. So 49. But 32 completions, so he'll allow the same number of completions as Woolen on 20 fewer targets, which isn't great. But again, I think context matters. Somebody has to get targeted. It's obviously going to be the rookie. But I'm going to say only 345 yards, because if he's going to be the nickel corner, then there's going to be fewer big plays and a lot of shorter plays, because that's the nature of playing in the slot. And I'm going to say he gives up 4 touchdowns as well as a rookie. Mistakes happen. Okay, then we have Josh Jobe. I think he's going to play a decent role this year. There are going to be moments where players get injured. There are going to be moments where I think, especially early in the season, we're not ready to give Eminwari every nickel snap. And also, Eminwari is going to play a little bit as a safety at some point. So you put all those things together, I think Joby's going to end up playing a non-trivial role on the team this year. I went with 41 tackles. He proved last year he's a capable tackler, so no problems there. Passes defense, I'm going to go with 9. Again, that might be overzealous, but I think he's going to play quite a bit this year. I think he's going to be the one out there more than somebody like a Shaq Griffin, and we'll get to him in a minute here, but I just have a feeling. I just have a feeling that Jobe is a good player, and he's going to earn playing time this year. 2 interceptions. Again, just here and there, he'll pick them up. Don't know exactly when or where. 65 targets, 39 completions. Not Reek Woolen standard, but still good, still workable, especially for a guy playing in his situation. 445 yards allowed, workable. I can live with that. And 2 touchdowns. So when Jobe plays, of course, he's going to be the guy who gets targeted. I reflect that pretty well here, I think. I think that when Jobe's on the field, he will be the guy opposing offense's target, because you have to target somebody in this secondary. It's not going to be Woolen, probably not going to be Witherspoon. Jobe is your best bet. Jobe. I'll learn his name one day. So pretty high on that. Then we get to Shaq Griffin. I think he'll find his way to the field a decent amount. We do play a lot of corners. Guys like Eminwari, like I said, are going to play some safety as well, so it's not going to be all corner stuff. But I feel like it's going to be decent amount of garbage time, decent amount of maybe early season reps when Eminwari is still getting his feet underneath him. It's going to be sporadic here and there. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me if it's more like 18 than 28. But I went with the 28 because players get hurt. It's a 17-game season. He'll probably start a couple of games like he did for the Vikings last year. 4 passes defensed. Was never really a huge ball hawk. Was always kind of somebody who would get close to making plays on the ball, but ultimately just end up making a play on the ball catcher after he caught it. 1 interception. Happens randomly at some point during the season. 37 targets. Not going to be a huge impact player there, but he won't be a big liability either. It's fine. 21 completions, 275 yards. So significant. I wonder if there's a plan to maybe do some kind of rotation here where all these guys get to play at least some. I kind of feel like that gets Shaq on the field a handful of times per game. I don't think we brought him in just to shelve him. But I just don't think that Jobe is going to give up that playing time. I don't. Okay. Touchdowns allowed, I went with 2. Passing touchdowns are going to happen, especially if this defense and this team is good this year. And I think both things will be true. I think the defense will be great and the team will be good. And that should be enough to force other teams to throw the ball a lot. Nehemiah Pritchett just picks up random opportunities here and there. I got 8 tackles. I got 1 pass defensed. No interceptions. I got him getting targeted 6 times. This is probably all garbage time at this point. It's going to take a lot for him to get opportunities. 6 targets, 4 completions, 67 yards, and no touchdowns, but it doesn't matter, right? If this is garbage time, then it doesn't really matter what he does. It matters for maybe him individually as a person and as a player trying to prove that he belongs in the league, but it doesn't really matter in terms of this team. And those are the totals. They're a little bit bold, but I want to stress this. This defense should be great this year, and these are the production numbers we should be expecting. If we're going to make these investments into the position of corner, then we should be seeing returns like this. We should. Okay, that's it for the cornerbacks. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if anything jumps out to you. I think that these guys are going to be busy. I think that we're going to see a lot of action here. I think that this team is well built to force other teams to throw it a lot, which should lead to interceptions, which should lead to opportunities to break up passes, should lead to a decent number of tackle opportunities. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this, guys. I'm feeling pretty good about this group. I don't know if it's the best strength of this team, but it's up there. Let me know what you guys think down below. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a great rest of your Saturday.